know Joslin? You know that he beat Josh Koscheck. I seen it, you seen it. It was packed here. I almost had to get extra security for that night. Now, 3-time heavyweight champion UFC, 2-time light heavyweight champion, had the belt twice. Only man to have the belt twice with a light heavyweight, heavyweight at the same time. Fought UFC 13. I gotta watch what I say, but he's been around for a long time. Hey, I gotta watch what I say because he's won not once, 4 times over 40, and he's still in his 40s. So I should watch what I say. No one's done that. No one's done that.
No one will.
No one will. You're right. That's unbelievable. And he was one of the first Hall of Famers, Randy Couture. Give it here! Come on, a little louder than that, come on! That's about right here. So, our hometown hero, Jeff, is going to do a Q&A with them, and then the VIP people paid the extra to ask a question, so I hope they have their questions ready. Okay? Do it, Jeff.
Thank you very much for the great welcome. Thanks everybody for coming out. We're going to get right to it. You know, when we had the opportunity to bring Randy in, you know, we jumped at it. And the reason being, obviously, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's achieved so much and been so great for the sport. But even better is I knew he was a great person. I met him in the past before, and he's awesome. And you guys saw that firsthand today. And he's, you know, go above and beyond and do everything to promote the sport. And just a great person overall. So we jumped at the opportunity and we got him here to Hamilton, and I'm very, very excited to have him here beside me. So. Let's get to some Q&A. First off, we're here to launch the book of Muhammad Ali and the last round with Randy Couture. And recently, found out that you went to Muhammad Ali's birthday party. And I know that had to be very interesting. I'm sure I just want to hear some details on that, and I'm sure the crowd would like to hear as well.
Well, it's Muhammad Ali's 70th birthday party, and I had the good fortune around New Year's to meet one of Muhammad Ali's daughters, Rashida. And she helps run a lot of his foundations and his stuff. Very, very nice lady. And she invited me to come to Muhammad's birthday. And what Muhammad's doing is using his 70th birthday as an event to raise funds for brain disease. Because obviously he has Parkinson's. He's doing it in conjunction with the Cleveland Clinic. And they did several of these across the United States to raise money to find a cure for things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And it was an amazing event. They held it at the Grand Garden Arena at the MGM in Las Vegas. There was about 2,000 people there. Stevie Wonder performed. Larry King hosted the event. So it was a remarkable event. And for me to be one of the only mixed martial artists there and representing our sport was a huge honor for me. So I was happy to get invited and be a part of that whole thing. They raised about $25 million for it. So
Quick one adding to that, was at the party, were there a lot of MMA fans that were very excited to meet you?
There were a lot of people there, absolutely, that were fans of MMA. And I heard that Lorenzo Fertitta actually bought Muhammad's gloves. He paid $1.1 million for them. Wow. I forget the fight. His fight was '69, I think. And so pretty amazing. He bought them in the auction there. So, but yeah, at a table full of people I got to sit with and share with, and they were great folks.
Growing up with a father martial arts instructor, we had a relationship growing up where he would be my coach and my father at the same time, and I noticed your son is fighting mixed martial arts, so I still remember times where my dad would be yelling at me in the middle of a karate fight, "Stop sleeping out there!" And I'm just like so emotional when I'm fighting. It's my dad, my coach, and everybody. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So how's it been to have your son, Ryan, fighting MMA, and have you been coaching him as he's grown up, or has he had other coaches as well?
Well, this has kind of been a journey that we started when he decided in junior high school he wanted to wrestle. And We knew it was going to be a challenge. First and foremost, I wanted him to be involved in a sport like wrestling or fighting because he wanted to, because it was something that he was passionate about. Losses or the wins, really. I think I learned a ton in all those situations, and sometimes I think more so the times that I was set back, the times that I lost. And I think those things, that type of adversity, makes you the person you are, and I don't think you can change that if you want to.
Thinking back to, do you have one moment that really stands out in your mind throughout your career that was the highlight that, you know, looking back still brings the biggest smile to your face? Anything that stands out like that?
I think you know, coming out of retirement the first time and getting the chance to fight Tim Sylvia in front of a record crowd at that time, obviously until Toronto, the record crowd of about 23,000 people in Ohio. And that last 10-second countdown for the 5th round was just remarkable. It'll be burned in my memory forever. It was a great time.
You know, going around the room beforehand, I was getting some question ideas together, and a lot of people want to know who you felt was your toughest opponent in your career.
Well, you know, I think they're all tough. Each and every guy poses different problems. You have to figure out how to solve those problems. Some of them I solved and some of them I didn't. The toughest fight I was in, for sure, was the first time I fought Pedro. It was a 5-round back-and-forth brawl. I didn't walk right for about 6 weeks after that fight.
The leg kicks, eh?
I definitely had to learn how to check a kick. But that was the toughest fight, and Pedro was certainly a tough competitor, but each and every guy I fought was tough, so you couldn't really put one above the other.
Now, there was a big fight, you know, for years, many years, everybody compared boxing and mixed martial arts, and, you know, who was the better fighters. Originally, people thought boxing was toughest when mixed martial arts came out, and you had a huge fight against Toney, and you know, going into that fight, did you look at it any different than the other fight? Did you train differently? Did you obviously you worried a little bit about his punching ability? He's a fantastic puncher, world champion. What did you do different to prepare for a fight that not only was so important to you, but very important to the sport of mixed martial arts?
Well, the first thing I had to do was not let myself plug into that rhetoric and kind of let people heap that pressure on me that I was representing mixed martial arts against a world-class boxer. In my mind, I had to keep it very simple and say, no, this is a mixed martial arts fight. It's just another fight, another fighter, and approached it that way. I took him very, very seriously. Obviously, he's a world-class striker. He does a lot of things very, very well. The question was, in the 6 months we had leading up to that fight, how much was he going to be able to learn in the mixed martial arts genre to be able to survive? And I was hedging that it wasn't going to be enough.
Obviously not.
I did do some different things, and that I kind of anticipated that he might have some people that would tell him, okay, though, this is what we need to do. We know he's going to shoot a double leg. Look at all his fights. He's shot in a double leg. You know, we're going to work on throwing a knee. We're going to work on using your uppercut and try and catch him coming in, see if we can hurt him. And so I went kind of old school. You know, I went to college at Oklahoma State. John Smith was my coach. We kind of invented the low single, and it's not a very effective technique really in mixed martial arts because guys don't wear shoes. You can do it in wrestling because I can grip a guy's shoe, he can't yank his foot out of there. But in bare feet, anybody who's got any wrestling ability is just going to step out of that technique. And so I got a big smile on my face when I walked out into the cage and saw that he was wearing those footies. I knew right then that I was going to be able to hang on to his ass. And he was probably going to go down. But I drilled that technique over and over and over during camp, and especially the guys that tended to be more striker-oriented, that didn't have the grappling and wrestling backgrounds. You know, those guys could step out of it, and they were frustrated because then you're laying there on your stomach with nothing. But the strikers tended to go down. They fell for it just about every time. And so I got more confidence with it, and I decided that that's what I was going to do. It's going to bait him, get him to come forward, and set up that low single.
Very cool. Now, you've made a fantastic transformation into the acting world, and you know, all of us MMA fans have been watching you do so well there as well. In your opinion, what's been tougher, the acting or the fighting? Punching people in the face or pretending to punch in the face?
Well, there's certainly been some parts I've gone and read for where I would have much rather been punched in the face. It's a very kind of freaky deal to go in and read for a part. It's called a cold read. You walk into a room, there's a bunch of strangers in there with a camera, and you sit down or stand up or whatever you want to do, and you basically read dialogue with somebody that you have no idea who they are. And so it's really kind of, talk about walking out on a limb and feeling exposed. It's a very interesting thing. But you know, it's not how I've made my living. I'm doing it because I think it's fun, it's interesting. And so I kind of go in there with this I don't give a shit attitude, and it seems to work. I'm not uptight about it, I don't care, I'm just going to go in there and have fun.
You're the natural.
And it seems to work, everybody seems to get it. So obviously getting better and better parts. We just finished Expendables 2. And August 12th. I did back-to-back, so I did another movie called Hijacked with Vinnie Jones, Dominic Purcell, and Holt McCallum. And I actually got to play the lead in that one. It's called Hijacked. That'll be out in September. And it looks like this fall we're going to start shooting Expendables 3. So.
And last question for myself. You've shown great success in all your avenues of life. What do you have a formula or something that you follow, or some type of advice for people that are looking to be successful in mixed martial arts, in acting, in everyday life? Anything that you can share with everyone?
Well, I think for me it was first is having a little faith that things were going to work out the way they're supposed to work out, and you can't always understand it, and especially when negative things happen, it's harder to see the big picture and kind of rely on that faith that, you know what, somehow this is supposed to work out for me. And then finding that thing that you're really passionate about, that you're willing to make the sacrifices and do the things you need to do to be the best at it. And I think those two things are what have gotten me down the road. I had a tremendous amount of passion for the sport of wrestling and saw fighting as an extension of that in an individual combative sport. Saw direct application of years of wrestling training to MMA, and it just looked like a heck of a lot of fun. And just feel like time and time again I found myself in the right place at the right time, and the right things happened. Whether it was losing a fight or winning a fight, it was where I needed to be, and I learned the things I needed to learn to progress and be a better person and be a better athlete.
All right. We're going to pass on the mic to Greg, and we're going to let the VIPs have their shot at asking Randy a question.
Jeff's like a Carson Daly, isn't he, eh? Good questions, Jeff. Okay, we're going to go down with the VIPs. Each one of them is going to introduce themselves and then ask Randy a quick question. Okay, sir? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Charles. You're fighting Gabriel Gonzaga. Did he break easier than you thought he would? What do you think broke him? Like his will?
You never know. I mean, it's something I learned in wrestling. And when I go out in a match or in the cage, that's my objective. I'm trained myself to go out and push you harder and further than you want to go until you break. And I'm talking about physically break you, but mentally break you want to quit. And I've had that happen a few times, certainly in my wrestling career, and a couple times in my fighting career as well. And Gabe was one of those instances where I think I pushed him further than he really wanted. I made him work harder than he really wanted to work. And I think the takedown really took a lot out of him. And I had to go back and look at the footage myself because I had a big divot in the top of my head, and I thought it was from his teeth. So I thought when I took him down, my head smashed him in the face and broke his nose. But I went back and looked at the footage, and if you watch it, when he hits his back, his own knee comes down and smashes him right in the nose and really does a job on his nose. And I think that affected his breathing and it really affected his spirit quite a bit in that fight.
Good question, good question. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
It's Don. I was just wondering, with GSP, we know the connection with the fleur-de-lis. I was just wondering what your connection is.
Well, I'm a third generation Canadian. My ancestors were French Canadians out of Quebec. My father's great-grandfather and his brother were orphans in an orphanage in Quebec, and they escaped, immigrated to Seattle, and that's where I grew up. So Couture, obviously a French name, I have French heritage.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
And it came through Quebec and Canada. So that's where the fleur comes from, and then the saying is actually a Latin saying, it's a proverb, iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another.